So a lot of students, when they're starting out, are told to do the spider fingers exercise. It looks something like this. You take any 4 consecutive frets and you just play them up and down the fretboard. And what it does is it gets all your fingers working. It helps with your hand technique. And there's different variations. So there's to keep your fingers down like this. Or there's to make sure you lift the finger when you play the next note. So both of those have value, right? There's also every combination. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you could do 1, 4, 3, 2. And then backwards, maybe 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? Or maybe you do 1, 3, 2, 4. Now you're probably looking at that and saying, wow, that sounds like a great activity. I should do that. It's not a bad activity inherently, but what's bad about it is that if you do that and focus on that in your, first attempts at building technique and becoming a lead player, a single note player, what you could be doing instead, which will really allow you to play music, is learn the actual foundation of music, which is the scales that we use, being in a key. We're in minor keys, we're in major keys. And the scales that we use all offer a similar technical challenge. So for instance, instead of just playing spider fingers, before we dive into it, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to also click the bell. Also, check out our free Ultimate Beginner Guide, which you could download using the link in the description. That will take you to the website where you'll find a library of high-quality song lessons, step-by-step courses on guitar fundamentals, rock, country, blues, a guitar toolbox, and so much more. All right, let's get into it. So for instance, instead of just playing spider fingers, I'm going to play the A minor scale. Watch this. And now I could play songs. Right, so now I'm really fluent in that key, in that scale, instead of being fluent in this. Right, that's not gonna allow me to play music. So, and then if you want to learn a different pattern, learn a different scale pattern. This is the first scale pattern of A minor. Here's the second one. Right? And there's actually 5 of them. So now, instead of just spending all this time working on technical facility, I'm working on technical facility, the actual scales, which are the building blocks of the songs that we know and love, and the riffs that we want to create, and the things that we're hearing in the songs we listen to and in our own ideas. So that is so much more valuable than just doing spider fingers. Spider fingers might be great after you learn all your scales and stuff, but I don't think it's a great place to start. The quicker we can master the scales, the better. And then there's other things I could do to the scales. So if I take this A minor scale, I could play the scale in what's called thirds, where I can do this. Right? I could do things like forward 2, back 1. Right? So now, using those patterns, I could actually play music. Right? So right away, instead of spider fingers, I did this. and I have the foundation of playing in a minor key in one pattern. Then let's say, the next week, I'm going to work on instead the second pattern of the A minor pentatonic scale. That's going to look like this. Right? And then I do the same things with that one. Now I'm at this one. Right? So where you might find yourself spending hours just working on different spider finger exercises, if you do that, mastering your scale shapes, you now can just run using that scale shape and the technical facility that you develop instead of just some spider fingers exercise. And of course, we want to do that with our major scales and minor scales and modes, and whatever scale you don't know, use that as your exercise, right? The reason why I haven't mentioned pentatonic scales is because pentatonic is just 2 fingers per string, right? If I did A minor pentatonic. So it's pretty unrelated to spider fingers. But diatonic is a mixture of 3 notes and 2 notes per string. 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3. Right? Whereas pentatonic, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Major scale, let's say I wanted to do G major, pattern 1. Thirds. Forward 2, back 1. Now, if you're thinking, well, no, I really want to use every finger on every string, because that's what I'm working on. Well, then practice the chromatic scale. So the chromatic scale, let's say I started on A, which is a perfect note to start on, first note of the musical alphabet. I've got A, now watch, I slide up 1, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, and then back to A, so watch this. So now we're at least getting to know the entire musical alphabet in one position. Right? Or I could do the slide up at the end. Now I'm actually hearing the sound of the entire musical rainbow, 12 notes, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, back to where we started. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, back to where we started, A, right? So I watched a masterclass with B.B. King once, and they asked him what scales he practices, and he said the chromatic scale, and he demonstrated. He went... And he said that helps him hear all the different possibilities. And it makes sense that BB would do that, because when you hear BB King bend, he has such control of from one half step to another half step. So for instance, let's say the BB box in the key of A. He would do things like, he would bend. He would have such control of his half-step bends, so like 12th fret on the B string, bent to the sound of 15, then to 14, right? So by practicing the chromatic scale, you're really hearing all those half steps. Anyway, so how should you practice these? Well, if you're aiming to practice technique, a metronome, right? And I'm going to put my metronome on. And I'm just going to practice eighth notes, right? So let's say I want to take my A minor scale in thirds, in eighth notes. I'm going to focus on the 3 T's, tone, timing, and technique. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Right? Maybe I want to practice in triplets, which would be 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Maybe 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... All right, everybody. So practicing your diatonic scales, that's what we're really doing here. Minor scales, major scales, Mixolydian, Dorian, melodic minor. You know, any of these diatonic 7-note scales are similar to spider fingers because most of the strings we have 3 notes instead of 4, but we have a different mixture of, say, index, middle, pinky, index, ring, pinky. So you're still getting a lot of the same value, but the value of actually knowing your scales is worlds beyond, you know, what you're going to get just out of a finger exercise that has no musical context. That's the main thing. There's no musical context. Scales, that is always the context. Anytime you hear a song, the context is what key am I in, right? So until you really have all your scales, I find that just the simple spider exercise, it's just feeding one bird with one seed, whereas the scales, we're feeding, you know, a whole flock of birds with that one seed. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. There's a library of high-quality song lessons, step-by-step courses in guitar fundamentals, rock, country, blues, a guitar toolbox, and so much more. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson. One more thing before I go. Click the link on this end screen to grab your free Ultimate Beginner Guide.